sometimes.
All right, everybody, and we're live, GM. There's a slight latency between what you might be seeing on YouTube or what's playback and what we're seeing here, or we're talking about rather in the Discord. But Billy, my man, we are live now. Go for it, sir. Late Night with Billyjitsu, everybody.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Late Night with Billyjitsu. Look at that. I sound professional. Look at that. That sounds awesome.
Indeed, sir.
Yeah, so topics for today. Ooh, hold on. I got videos relaying back and forth. There we go. Okay, so I'm definitely going to talk about the elephant in the room, Terra, depegging, the market, the Azuki drama, a whole bunch of stuff too. Honey Swap getting hacked, the front end at least, music NFTs, Hot Protocol. We are taking sponsorships, and a whole bunch of lost stuff, in my opinion, on it. So for those that are new to the show, if I offend you, I apologize to nobody. This is an adult show. If you have feelings, get stronger. Anyways, to start it off, Terra. I mean, that's been the biggest news like for the last 48 hours. Depegging, and for those that don't know like what Terra is or what it's all about, the Terra network, in a sense, just to explain this, just a quick overview of what is actually happening. Terra is a stable coin. So basically, one Terra is $1 theoretically. It is backed by something called Luna token. So that's how they back it. If you redeem your UST, it's equal to $1 of Luna. So if Luna goes up in price, awesome, because there's a lot to redeem. There's a lot of liquidity. If Luna goes down in price, it's more Luna burn for the UST in general. So with any new token or any new device like that you release to the internet, is like, well, how do you get people to use it, right? So they incentivize people on the Anchor protocol that if you buy UST and you deposit it onto the Anchor protocol, they will give you 20% return on your dollar. So it's like, well, shit, I could just get a stable coin, buy it, and then get 20% back of the same money. The question is, when you're pumping your own coin with the very same dollar that you're pumping it with, is like, how is that sustainable? And so they kind of leveraged themselves out with Bitcoin and made some other deals in the back end, which works. They're being backed by Luna, and they were trying to back by themselves with Bitcoin. The big problem is when you got big money moving things around, it really messes with pegs. So there is a lot of drama behind UST because they've been trying to gain more liquidity, and basically the system wasn't theoretically sustainable. So they were trying to create something called the 4-pool on Curve with Frax dollar, USDC, and USDT kind of leaving DAI out in the dust. So there was a lot of drama of that because that was coming up in the coming weeks, and they were getting ready to put incentives for that. But because of that, they had to lower their interest rate on the Terra coin. So instead of getting 20%, I think it was going to get dropped to 15%. So whether this is a conspiracy theory or not, but big money moved out of the Terra network. Like we're talking billions of dollars in a short amount of time. And so in order to cover that bag, you have to sell Luna. And so when people were pulling all their money out and then things started to pegging to a penny, so it went from $1 to 99 cents, people really freaked out, and it basically caused a bank run on the Terra network. So then it was fighting to keep the peg, in a sense. They keep having to burn Luna. They keep having to sell. So there's a lot of sell pressure on Luna, and they're fighting the peg. And so I think it went down for, a penny for a couple hours, and then it bounced back up. And so okay, we thought it was good. And then come yesterday morning or this morning, I can't even tell. Like, I don't even know about the space anymore. Is now more money got moved out, in a sense. Like people kind of got freaked out or spooked, but now more billions of dollars, like over 50% of the supply got pulled out. And we're talking like on Curve Finance, on the Anchor protocol, where most of the money is. So that all got pulled out, and now the Luna had to be burned at an accelerated rate, where now they had to pull their Bitcoin reserves, in a sense. So they had bought Bitcoin at about 47,000 or borrowed Bitcoin at about 47,000. They had to sell at like 35. So they took a big hit of loss in Bitcoin in general. And then they're burning their Luna token. And so they kind of lost their peg all the way down to, I think, almost 65 cents. So your dollar became worth 65 cents. And so now they've been going back and forth trying to bring back the peg, but they've lost a lot of trust, and a lot of people, like, who in the right mind would want to go back into a stable coin that doesn't give you a lot of returns and that might depeg again. But billionaires are making moves because they can buy a dollar for 65 cents. So right now they're trying to repeg it with a lot of VC funds, a lot of phone calls, but we're in this crazy space where we're in a billionaire's playground where a couple moves or a couple swings could change the game of where the market is. Obviously, there's a lot of sell pressure. I mean, the UST protocol or the Anchor protocol kind of started this little mini bull run with the Bitcoin going up in price, when they were buying it and backing it. And now they've been forced to sell at a loss and billionaires are cashing out. So, that gives you the state of the market of where we are with UST and kind of like why everything's dropping in price in general. I mean, there's other factors, of course, but right now people are spooked. And then when people are spooked and you guys are spooked, they start selling. I mean, you want to follow up on that, T Wells, just in general?
No, man, this is what, yeah, I'll just sort of shill a conversation that I had with Kila of Qidao and My Finance. They got interesting sort of more maker model, collateralized stable, over collateralized stable. But, he was talking about essentially what has unfolded with regards to the nature of a bank run on an algo. And so I thought that was somewhat prescient, and big ups to him. We'll probably have the highlight up tomorrow, but yeah, I think I'll also just say I'm going to show Monstro's really old school. I mean, I know Project, you're here, man. Like, you probably remember this too. Like, I'll have to repost this. Monstro had a funny and like decently educational bit about stable coins, like at the end of last summer, early last fall, like long time ago. And it's just, yeah, it's in some ways, this is a lot of things I feel like just coming to a head. And this is just I don't know. It's the special part. I don't know. Like, I hate to say that. I know there's a lot of people that might be, feeling this here, but it is. I guess the sort of larger macro equation is its effect on an algo, right? I guess of sorts.
Well, yeah. I mean, theoretically, you want Luna to do the peg, but the problem is now it needs outside sources to kind of save the day and save the peg. It's basically on Do Kwon to make those moves happen. So it's no longer, in a sense, decentralized, which is unfortunate. I really didn't want them to lose. I thought he was a little bit cocky and everything, but you know what? Props to him because he had the balls to make a stable coin. I think it just blew up too fast, and he might have gotten a little cocky because they're literally dealing with billions of dollars, right, as ultimate experiment. What I do fear now, because of where we're at now, is for all these governments to come and say, hey, 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 now we have to regulate stable coins because, look what happens. This is it. And it's basically a billionaire's playground. I mean, probably 2 or 3 actors in the space colluded to make this happen and make a lot of money. But then we all have to pay because, all the governments, oh, you see, this is why you need a stable coin and we need to be in charge of it. And I can't trust the government for shit because technically the US government has depegged about 8% in general. So I can't trust them either. They're not the most confident of all. So I can't do that. But that's my biggest concern with all this drama and all this news. I mean, we're talking billions of dollars at risk, but the concept of, now these politicians have a reason to say, see, we told you so. This is going to be the CBDC is going to save everybody. It's going to be insured. It's always going to peg, be back to the dollar. So now anybody that wants to create a new type of stable coin or do anything now has to go through all these regulations in order to do so. So it may kill stuff before it even starts, unfortunately.
Yeah, man, I just, again, as I shared with you a little before, Billy, I hope that, like, yeah, my optimistic future is a world where, like, you definitely have you basically have USDC, or it's like, okay, I think the perfect outcome, I guess, is that USDC, for example, maybe Tether has to, like, have some come to Jesus moment, as it were, but like USDC is just like regulate me, and they dial it up, and there's all sorts of structural audits and implementations that like make their operations suck, but it's backed and they have admin power, and then like to the right of that is the Fed coin. But I just hope that I hope that like this doesn't make the it get, in a sense, and it does, right? It gives the SEC the argument of we're protecting you from yourselves. It's like, because otherwise these billionaires are going to wreck you. And I hate that. Like, I hope that the algo component and the experimentation can continue. But as you're saying, sometimes it's like the Icarus moment, right? And you got to tell me, what is the deal with the BTC? Is it just that he plans to like dump BTC to back like the peg? Well, like, how does that factor in, man?
Well, yeah, they wanted to be backed by BTC, so I believe, and I'm still kind of getting the full story straight, but I think he kind of got tricked into borrowing BTC, so now it's backed by Luna and Bitcoin. But officially, they have drained the Bitcoin vault, so they don't have any more Bitcoin on there. They took a loss from like 45, 47,000, sold at like 35, 30,000. So they took a 10K loss on all the Bitcoin they bought. So that it's so sustainably, like, I'm surprised that it's been holding
Damn.
this price at about 30 right now. But yeah, they've been drained. So like now it's a matter of, can a billionaire save us and peg, and the opportunity to make a quick 30% in a sense, because it was depegged to about 70 cents. If they get it back to the dollar, then a billionaire just made a shitload of money because he just made 30% on billions of dollars in a sense, which is absolutely insane. But that's what it is. So like instead of like doing 20% on Terra, you just wait for the opportunities and buy back Terra at 30% and make 30% overnight. So but yeah, it's absolutely crazy. And I should have felt this was coming because music NFTs were coming too strong. um, like went to a couple of Twitter spaces, and then I literally have some guy serenading me with like a guitar, over Twitter spaces, and I'm thinking, what the fuck is going on here? This guy's singing with me with a guitar, and I felt like, what is that, like Animal House or something? Like I was like, just get this guitar. I was like, shut up, man. This is what Twitter spaces has become. Some dude serenading. I'm like, nah, this isn't it. I should have sold everything right there, T-Wells. I should have done that. But that is the space we are right now. And it's absolutely insane, which brings us into the new NFT drama, if you're ready for it.
Yeah, but what are we looking at?
Oh, I guess you are.
What are we looking at? What are we looking at here?
Oh, geez. Well, the Azuki drama.
All right.
So it's been like the NFTs are just going crazy about docs versus not docs. But basically, this guy Zagabond kind of just came out and basically exposed himself, saying that he was part of all these projects that kind of rugged. I think he was part of like CryptoFunks, Tendies, Zunks. They're all rug projects that rug people on like on everything. Like he just kind of like sold and then dipped and closed out the accounts and like left everybody hanging. And then he was one of the people behind Azuki, and that one blew up, and they made a shitload of money. And then he was exposed ultimately, saying, okay, this guy's been part of this project, this project, this project that's previously rugged, and now he's part of the Azuki. Is like, oh, he's probably going to rug again. And he just had I think a Twitter Spaces to explain anything, and his concept was he was learning. So he was learning at everybody else's expense, and like he's just going to continue to build. But it's been like an interesting system because he pretended to be like a girl dev too for one of the project, because one of the scams is like, oh, it's all women led, girl dev behind us, so people get, that's the flavor of the month right now. So like he just pretended to be one. And so like the argument is like, oh, should all teams be doxxed or not doxxed? And I literally just posted this earlier because I'm seeing this argument back and forth of like, I could buy a fake LinkedIn for like $20 online. All these hacks that happen where you get these notifies in the mail, your account has been hacked, and here, this is what we've done to protect you. That information is already out there. So people are selling it on the internet. So you can literally buy a legit person's information for a few bucks. You can make a profile pic with like these people do not exist.com. And Twitter is free. You can make a free Proton email. So being doxxed or not really does not matter, because if they're going to rug you, they're going to figure out more clever ways to rug you. You can't say, oh, this guy showed himself, so I trust him. I trust nobody here in Teguelos. And this is an exact reason of why NFTs and having doxed or not doxed issues, it doesn't matter. People are going to rug you, and now people want to move out. And so the floor went from Azuki's, I think, was 30 ETH floor to about 9 ETH floor in a matter of like less than 24 hours. It is. It's still going.
I'm trying to keep up here, man. I got some good following up here. We got the OpenSea on YouTube right now. You can see verified 8.99. Let's see what the
it's crazy
activity. Yeah. Okay, gotcha.
So that's the good. NFT market is kind of learning the hard way that like how liquid their NFTs are. It's only as good as someone's willing to buy. So someone that went out for a walk or went to sleep and woke up and saw their token worth like literally over 50% loss has got to be hurting right now. And then if no one's still buying at 9 ETH, they're gonna have to sell it for lower. So there's I don't know if this is a big ploy. Like, is Yuga Labs going to then swoop up and buy them all in the cheap and say, hey, now they're part of Yuga Labs, and all of a sudden they go? Or is this a total rug? They have been moving money off their contract and safe. So people are selling and they're making more money on royalties. So like whether you believe it or not and you want to get out of position, the dude's still making money because you're selling at an open scene. He's still making money, which is unfortunate, but that is the state of the space.
Wow. This is, yeah. I mean, it's
Absolute disaster.
the part about it that is really not any laughing matter, to be honest, is the part where you have the play on the gender appeal, and the intersection with being doxxed. Like these are two separate things. I mean, I understand their intersection, but that type of deceit is really, yeah, it sucks, man. And I feel like it's only like, in many ways the only way that changes is when you have more activist women. So like big ups to all those that are doing that work. I mean, I had a chance to chat with Lauren. Every time I speak with Lauren from Giveth, I get a charge. I think that she's out there trying to do some decent work here in Web3, and is straight up leading it. But very few people, you don't see Azuki asking her to come on and share her insights, do you? No, because she's a real DAO operator. They just want to shill.
Yeah. Unfortunately, that's a lot of noise in the space in general. Like I've been getting more and more into the space to understand the logic. Like what's the logic of everybody's like, if I buy this, most people just buy it to flip or the hopes of it's going to be the next Bored Ape. But it's a lot of it lacks innovation. But really, the Azukis, I mean, whether they created it or not, they created the ERC 721A to save gas on mints. So it was something innovative, definitely. Something kind of good came out of it, but bad news travels fast in the space, and whether it's true or not, or allegations or not, this is a hard one to save. A lot of people have kind of basically blacklisted off their list. So whoever's holding, I feel for you. Hopefully you got in super early and it's still not a pain, but my heart goes out to you on that one. I mean, this space is not getting a break with the value of ETH and everything dropping because of UST, and then the Azuki drama, and then not even one hive is safe anymore, because their honey swap, the front end gets DNS hijacked, which is like absolutely insane. It was not an actual hack to the honey swap team. They were socially hacked through their DNS server, basically like a GoDaddy. I forget who their server is. Basically, I think somebody called in and kind of like social hacked them to give them the rights or access to the domain. And they literally switched the website, making it look exactly the same. So then every swap that you did not actually swap through the HoneySwap exchange. It just sent the money straight to the guy's contract, which is absolutely insane. And I was so lucky because I literally did a swap minutes before he actually took over the domain, which was I was like, whoa, holy crap. And it was a substantial amount of money that I did that swap for too. So like, holy shit. I mean, I dodged a bullet, but it's like nothing is safe. You can't trust anything or anybody in this space because there's always someone willing to catch you in anything you do. Even when you feel like something is as safe as just swapping a token, they literally hijacked the whole website and created a whole new website to look exactly the same. And they did it because of a phone call. Like somebody on the other side fucked up, and it really put a lot of bad face into like one hive as well, which is kind of unfortunate as well.
Yeah, man. It sucks, and so I felt the need to sort of make that somewhat mocking retweet. But I got Luigi's answer up here. I'm curious to know, like, well, we'll have to get somebody like Luigi or somebody else up to do. Maybe Mert is here actually with us, man. If he wants to do like some kind of or fill us in on the post-mortem. I'd love to know the details of as much as possible, like how did the phishing, how was it successfully executed, right? I don't know how much details people want to share, but
I'll give an example of like what my theory is what happened. I'm just going to use GoDaddy as an example. I mean, because it's probably one of the most popular domain servers in the U.S. as far as people know. But when you have an account, you have to call in, and you want to talk to a rep or something. It's like, oh, I forgot my password, I forgot my PIN, I want to make a change. They ask you a few questions, and if you get the right person on the phone, because we're talking like this guy can be from another country, having trouble with English. You can kind of play the sob story. Oh, I don't know my password. I don't have my key because my computer got crashed, and I need to just reset something on my server. And then once they give you the keys to the kingdom, now you can do anything you want with that domain. So what this guy did was basically build an exact same copy of the website, so it looks exactly the same. Except the route, instead of doing a swap using the Honey Swap contract, he just changed the contract to have the as soon as you hit the swap, it didn't swap. It just literally you're just literally sending the guy tokens through like a MetaMask. So I don't even think there had to be an approval or anything because you're just literally sending him tokens.
Right.
So yeah, you just went in like unknowingly just ready to do a swap of tokens. So whoever swapped before it was caught, and I think it was caught pretty quick, a couple hours, and people jumped to action, and they did everything they can. But now, since they no longer have control of the domain, so I'm calling GoDaddy back, and I'm the true owner. Now you're dealing with like, well, no, you just called in, a couple hours ago to change the domain. Who are you? So then all of a sudden you're guilty until proven innocent, and now you have to go through all these loopholes to prove that you are truly the owner, so they can give you access back. And while this is all happening, people that don't know what's going on are still swapping. And so like you're literally racing against the clock to, stop people from doing it. You're doing announcements. I even shared it on Twitter too as soon as I saw the announcement, but not everybody's on Discord, not everybody's on Twitter, and they want to do a quick swap. So like you're trying to like mitigate, and you can't tell anybody on the website because you no longer have control of the website. So like your hands are tied and you're doing the best you can. And then you're basically on the mercy of how fast these guys can shut down the website or give you back control, which is kind of a shitty situation to be in. But that's kind of what happened. And it's like, it can happen to any website. It could happen to Uniswap. It could happen to Yearn, anything. Like as long as someone's willing to give the keys on the back end, now you have a problem. All DNS, controllers are susceptible to that.
So ENS is the only way to go.
In a sense, yeah.
DX not as fast as was right all along. DX DAO, if you can hear me. If only we had listened.
And actually, that's the true thing about immutability. I was actually talking to someone about that the other day, like just shooting the shit of like ENS. I was like, you can truly make a website immutable because you can buy, an ENS, right? And then I can upload my website to IPFS with a key. And then once I have it uploaded and I have it tied to my ENS, I can literally throw away the key to the private key. And now it's immutable. Like nobody can change that ever. And if they want to keep that alive, people just have to keep the ENS alive. And anybody can pitch in. No, you don't have to do it. Anybody else can renew it for you. So they can literally keep a website alive and immutable. And that's truly what decentralization is all about. Like, whether you like it or not, this can happen. And these are the tools to build it. And this is probably where I'll see a few things start to move as, governments step in or people don't like what you're saying and you start getting, canceled or muted. Well, now as we have a decentralized exchange, a decentralized platform or anything that we want, or decentralized social network, you can literally do it on IPFS, throw it on ENS and throw away the keys. And there's nothing anybody can do with it. Like even the smartest people in the world can never unlock those keys or mute you ever again. I see you throwing up revoke on the website.
Yeah, I was gonna say, here I am like tweeting live, not intentionally. Like, oh well, trying to manage juggle here. I'm trying to give DX DAO some props live here, man. But yeah, revoke was the next thing I wanted to mention for sure, because I think people would benefit from just knowing this is a tool in general.
So definitely, like again, when the announcement happened, that's literally the first thing I did. Because when the hack happens, you don't really know what's going on. So it's a pretty scary moment because you don't know if you've been hacked. You just went there. It's kind of like COVID, and all of a sudden they send you you may have been in contact with somebody on COVID. So it's it's like, oh, what did I get affected or not? So then the first thing I did is check for approvals. So with approvals, you want to check. I think that website that you just had up, that was giving me problems as actually. So I use the Rabbi plugin as well. That's one through DBank, and it connects to your wallet, and you can check all your approvals across all chains: Ethereum, Binance, Gnosis. So that I basically removed all the approvals for everything that I thought was compromised. Luckily, I didn't, but revoke.cash was not working for me. I was getting some RPC errors on that side. So go different ways. Just have a plan. Like it's kind of like insurance. You wish you had it, when the accident happens, but then you don't think about it until it happens. So it's one of those things, like learn from other people's lessons and definitely have this saved to your, browser or get the plugin or anything like that. Just make sure you have that. So if it does, if the shit hits the fan for you, at least you have a quick access to just check where you're at and get a little bit more feeling of safety in a sense.
What was the site, man, that you recommended? I was able to use Revoke, okay, but I'm sure there are better tools.
It's a plugin, but actually I would recommend going to dbank.com. That's D-E-D,
Okay.
D as in Donald, E as in elephant, bank.com, and then they'll reroute you to their new plugin.
Okay. Yeah, I remember they used to have, like, DBank used to have, as one of their tabs, like portfolio, NFT history, and then like approvals, but I don't see it anymore. So tell me again, if I was using DBank recently, where do I find the approval, revoke, or the
Oh, give me 1 second as I
record?
load it on my screen. So if you're
Maybe I
on
think of my
DBank and then you
wallet.
go to the very, very bottom, on the very lower left-hand corner, there's something called Download Rabby. On the very, very bottom of DBank, there's like a little purple or violet little rabbit saying Download
I
Rabby.
got it.
And that will take you to the extension. I don't want to tell people go to this extension because there's so many fake, all these fake MetaMasks and all these fake wallets and all these fake extensions. I don't want someone to put their key in there. So all you have to do is connect it to it, and then it'll just check your approvals. It'll also act as a mini wallet as well. But it's I don't trust it as much. I just check it for approvals. That's all I do with it, and I don't do anything more with it.
So would you say if you want to revoke approvals, do you not trust any sort of dApp to revoke? You would do it, man, like, or am I misunderstanding?
Oh well, like this Rabby is just a good place that you can see overall views of where it's at. Like there's also gosh, what is the other one? I'm thinking off the top of my head. Let me look it up as I have this on there. Zapperfy, but it only works for Ethereum.
Right.
And so DBank used to be a place where I could check multiple chains, and then they just switched over to Rabby. So I mean that's just because they switched over to Rabby is the only reason I'm using it, and because the revoke.cash was giving me problems was the only reason I went to Rabby in a sense. If revoke cash worked for me on the fly as fast as I wanted, I would have used that too. But again, right now the new trend is as more hacks happen, people are making fake approval websites. So they're doing it. So now when you hit
Jesus
revoke
Christ.
approval, you're basically approving that contract to steal from you. So it's you got to be smarter than the smart guys. It's tough. It's tough. And I'm looking at Lewis's thing. HoneySwap is not live yet, just in case. HoneySwap is not usable yet. They do not have control of the domain, so do not use it yet.
You can go to 1inch if you want to swap some of them tokens.
CowSwap,
CowSwap, yeah.
Gosh, HoneySwap is just not on the table just yet, so I wouldn't touch it at all. But in the brighter news, all this gloom doom, as we're crashing and like the prices are falling, and I'm here, you're saying more and more gloom. I mean, it's just a crazy space right here, and there's always like be on guard. Even when you have your guard down, that's when they get you. And unfortunately, that's just where it is, and people are getting more and more creative to steal the money from you easily without any consequence. One thing, the guy, just for good news, is some guy the guy that actually did the hack is like he tried to like bridge wrapped XDAI over, so he kind of burned himself with that because it's not usable. So good. But anyways, and the brighter news, if you were cross-chain hopping, Hop Protocol had a token drop, which is kind of nice, So if you were, bouncing from chain to chain using Hop Protocol, I would definitely check, their website out to see what you qualify for. Luckily, I was a liquidity provider for a little bit of time, so that was kind of cool. But one twist they have is they have like a reporting system for all the Sybil attackers. So basically, they want you to snitch, and people love to snitch. I'm gonna tell you that, T. Wells. People love to tell on other people. Man. Okay, this is why Yelp is so popular. People love snitching on anybody. Nobody leaves positive reviews on Yelp. People use Yelp to like the negative reviews and say, "Oh, I'm gonna report this place. I'm a big user on Yelp." And like, if I work somewhere, I was like, I don't give a fuck. But people love to snitch, man. I don't know why people love to snitch. So now they're like, all right, if you snitch on these Sybil attackers, I don't know what you get, but if this guy has a Sybil attack, then you can snitch on him if you want to. That's up to you.
Yeah, man. I as a game theory mechanic for avoiding Sybil attacks, it'll be interesting to see how it works. I'm not gonna be able to follow it super closely, but of course I did call it out on Twitter there because as you're saying, it's an effective mechanism, I think, right? Like right or wrong, we'll see if how effectively it deals with it. They've set specific thresholds, I think, for reporting. So it's not like, I mean, to protect their own selves from a spam attack of reports. It's get spam snitching. They have set it, I think, to like 20 provable addresses or something like that. I don't know. But I got
I don't know. Like,
is that
if there's a reward for snitching, then wouldn't the spammer just snitch on himself for a bigger reward? It's a catch-22.
It's true. This is true.
Damned if you do, damned if you don't. Yeah,
Billy, are you
yeah. So
declaring
it's
your
like
intentions?
I mean, it's a yeah. Well, no, no. I mean, I only have a couple wallets I use cross chain, but I'm just saying, like, in this space, like especially like in the developer world, you have to think like a criminal in order to like think of all aspects. It's like a burglar. If I'm installing a security system in your house, I mean, do I want some guy that's never broken into something, or the guy that used to be a burglar stealing everything and say, okay, this is what I would do to get in? That's my mentality. Like when I'm creating a contract and I'm thinking, okay, if I'm this, how am I going to game the system? How can I do this? And that's how I have to think. And that's generally how I think about, it's these things. So this guy snitching is like, all right, if there's a reward to snitch, I can snitch to myself because they don't know who I am, and therefore this wallet gets burned, but I get the reward for snitching on this wallet. So either way, I'm winning. It's like the guy that is wanted and turns himself in. It's just the catch-22.
It'd be interesting to watch it. That's the yeah. Claiming it is actually fairly straightforward. Let me try to get a wallet attached here and show people on screen if they're interested in doing it, what they can do. So like, if you're not familiar with the Hop front end, you can see it on YouTube. And the tabs at the top, they have a new one for airdrop. So you simply connect to app.hop.exchange, check your airdrop. And of course, the wallet I have attached here is irrelevant. But you would see here, if you had any, there's some nice multiplier effects for various things, including, as Billy mentioned, a liquidity provider. I don't think that the tokens are live for claiming though, right, Billy?
No, they're just letting you know what you're probably going to get, in a sense, unless someone snitches on your ass, and then all of a sudden they'll take them away.
Yeah.
But yeah, so don't count your chickens before they hatch, okay, guys? So I'll snitch on you guys if there's a reward. I don't care.
The question becomes like, what do you think about this? Like, if you were in their position, like, and trying to deal with the Sybil aspect of it, like, I never forget this story when we were at Metacon. So this is even like it was not even ETH Denver. It was like a small conference. And, Luke was listening to someone speak. It was Austin Griffith. And he was like, okay, guys, he had just launched Tip Party or something like that. And he was like, all right, we're going to do this here. And like, you're here, you're the first people to use it. So I've set aside X amount of, money or whatever, ETH, I'm sure it was, to like, for everybody in the room. So he was live on stage, demoed the thing. And it was just like, we're just doing this on people's honor, that you're not going to spam this thing up because we have X amount, of ETH up here and there are X number of views, so everybody should get. And then it was like this. And Luke was like, I literally saw the guy in the row in front of me with his laptop just use a dozen different addresses to spam up the thing on stage. Just like, not even do you have to be behind the Anon mask, but like at live events, people are going to straight spam up the airdrop. Like, no shame.
When you're giving away anything for free, I can give like a free like t-shirt that I wore like 3 times and give it away. People will line up to do that shit. People just want anything for free. Look at the POAPs problem. Like, it's the most ghetto NFT in the world, and people will line up for days. They make bots to collect this shit, and like, I still don't understand it for the life of me. And if they do a token airdrop, I will be the fool because I rarely collect them now. But like, it's like so insane to me. Like, anything free, people just want it. It's like we're like digital hoarders. It's like I don't understand it. But when it comes to money, if you can game the system, I mean, this space pays the guys that are creative, whether you're creative with it or not. Like, it's like, if you can figure out your plan and you got a good system going, you can make some serious money just for playing with protocols. Nobody knew there was going to be a token drop. You played the game and you run the risk of paying for fees cross wallet. So you kind of paid your dues, in a sense. It's not like you just did the bare minimum. And I think they're giving you tokens based on your activity. So even if you spent $1 or something, you still paid the fees. So why don't you get it? Is kind of the question. And then if they were so worried about Sybil attacks, then why didn't they have something like Bright ID or Proof of Humanity to prove it? There's the double-edged sword on that, because you want a lot of users using your protocol because they make money off fees on the transfers. But then again, you want to turn around and say, okay, well, now we don't want any Sybil attackers, well, now that you're giving out rewards. So it's okay for people to Sybil to use it so you can make fees, but then when you got to pay out, you don't want it. You got to give and take on both sides.
Yeah, man, I can't. That'll be interesting. It'll be an interesting experiment to implement a Sybil tool like Bright ID on a swap. Like, yeah, I mean, hypothetically, in like a thought experiment, even if you had decently deep liquidity, would people just prefer not to have? I mean, I don't know. It's interesting. I think Bright ID is awesome, but it's definitely a high threshold. Like, I think it is worth noting that like the adoption of Bright ID, I think, was greatly assisted by the honey faucet. Like, gating free crypto with it was like key, I think, to the initial adoption of getting people to really participate in the whole proof of identity that they got going on, which is, yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, it's a tough one. Like, if you give anything, like if I gave away anything for free, I would use something like Bright ID, because I already know people are going to come back in line twice or three times or four times to just get it, whether it's worthless or it's worth something. That's just the nature of people right here. Like when you're behind an anonymous mask, you see the true the true nature of certain people. Like, all right, how can I game this and stuff? So then I have to think like that. Like, all right, how are people going to try to game me, and how can I protect myself against it, whether it costs me or not? I don't know if the snitching is going to work, but I'm very interested to see if we have the Web3 version of Yelp with Sybil snitching or something. I don't know. We'll see how that turns out.
It could be, sir.
Sybilsnitchers.com or sybilsnitchers.eth, Get it now.
.eth. Immutable.
Yeah, but you know what?
Immutable snitch, yes.
Yeah, you can't stop me from snitching now, government. But oh shoot, just to cover some stuff. I mean, talking about funding and doing all this stuff, I kind of want to bring up Hedgie's NFT promo for One High TV, right? Like, you guys have some NFTs that you guys have honey, and they can buy on discount, and it kind of supports the funding here, right?
Yeah, man. We do have a NFT OTC pool, and the address is app.hedgie.finance. And if you haven't been there before, I'm going to see if I can pull it up on screen here really quick. But full disclaimer, this is not financial advice. And of course, as you'll see, it is there are terms of use that Hedgie has to put up for legal reasons. So let me see if I can get it up here. So folks in the US are not technically supposed to be participating. So again, NFA, and just want to be fully transparent on all of that. But we will show, I don't know where it is right now. Let me see. Here, let's try this again. Hold on. Interesting. I need to double check actually.
While we're waiting on
yeah. Because
no problem.
I'm
I
not
want to
sure
throw it out there that we are looking for sponsors. Why not? So, like, in this show, we actually don't make any money on the show whatsoever. It's pretty much to promote like One Hive and kind of bootstrap a for community project, for like a live stream. I think that was T Well's vision, is to have DAOs be able to contribute videos and like information through a not so controlled interface. So, we've been kind of bootstrapping it ourselves, but if there is a platform or DAO that wants to sponsor us, I will definitely talk shit about you, and and really analyze what you guys are about, because we're not going to be here promoting scams. Again, like, I've been a victim of scam here and there through my whole life. That's just growing up. So I would never promote anything like that. Like, it sucks to be scammed, and that feeling of just being robbed. And I tell everybody, don't trust anybody, and not even me, before anybody even tries to sponsorship with us, even if they do or not. It's going to be basically grinded through my eyes to make sure that you guys are at least somewhat legit. If you fool me, awesome. But I mean, it's just not going to be like some NFT project or something. Hey, sponsored by, Feet Picks NFT or something, just just some like rug project. So definitely, but we are looking around. So I'm just throwing that out there. If you guys want to fund the homeless. We're right here.
Yeah, man. I look, and I appreciate the digs on the hedgy front. We're gonna put a pin in that. I think it's been just taken down due to the honey swap issues and frankly price action. I'm gonna just, I think it was set around 170. So like the likelihood that there was going to be people participating was probably highly unlikely. And combined with honey swap, I think the honey swap issues today or yesterday rather, I think we may have just hidden the contract. So, but it is definitely a DApp worth taking a look at. Like right now, there's a Fox pool that's active here on Gnosis Chain. They got a couple projects on Harmony and ETH mainnet as well. And the concept here, let me just actually put it on screen so people can see. I just plug Hedgy here. So app.hedgy.finance. Basically, you can buy, in this case, we take Fox. You can buy what again used to be a discount Fox. This is like, this type of tool is awesome for what it is, but in seriously adverse market conditions, the pools need to be more actively managed. But the idea was maybe a week ago, you could buy the token, in this case Fox, for a discount, and they would be locked in the NFT that you receive. So you buy the Fox at a discount. You can calculate the market discount, obviously, at the time that you're buying it. And when you actually follow through with the transaction, rather than getting Fox in your wallet, you receive an awesome Hedgy NFT, which we can take a look at in a second, a couple examples. And then that NFT lives in your wallet, and those tokens are locked up inside of it until the date that's specified on the contract. In this case, it'd be November 5th. So you can do the math on that, but typically the longer the lock period, the longer the vesting period, the greater the discount. So if you're bullish a token, this is a great way to really show your support, I think, for a community more than anything else, right? You're basically buying an NFT that represents governance, future governance rights. And so again, this is something that if you're in the US, you need to sort of you need to determine your own, whatever legal requirements based on your jurisdiction. But in this case, Hedgy's got some really cool tools going on here, and we can show it. Let me actually pull it up here. I think Lindsay.
Hedgy token says I can't even use Billy token. Something about the SEC or something. I said Gary Gensler said it was cool, so I don't know. It's still in the works.
Only Billy token.
Yeah. Speaking of that, the whole U.S. thing, and that's kind of going into my whole law thing right now. This is where I'm going to get upset, and maybe I'm going to make all the lawyers mad and everything. But we're touching on a whole lot of legal barriers of like what I can do, what I can't do. How come U.S. users can't buy? Why can't I buy a damn NFT? In a sense, because it has some money tied to it. I've always feel kind of handcuffed with the lawyers and everything. I actually at Olam Universal, which I was a speaker for a short while, over a week and a half ago, they had a law panel, and they were talking about certain aspects and everything. It was more about protect yourself. We kind of already know that in the U.S. that if you don't have some kind of, at least an LLC, umbrelling you, you're kind of in trouble. But unfortunately, I couldn't get into the nitty gritty of like all the details of what happens. But it comes down to like, the U.S. is like for your protection. It's like, can I opt out of being protected? Like, is there an option to say, you know what? I think I'm good. I think I'm good on my own. It's like if I'm in the mafia and shit, and like Larry Two Fingers is like, hey, this is for your protection, man. And this is good for you. And if you don't pay up, this is what's going to happen. It's kind of feel like I'm a mafia. Like there's always this form of protection. But then I was like, well, I don't want it. Like Social Security, we're going to take this money from you, and that way you can spend it later. But how come I can't say like, oh, well, I just like to spend it right now? Thanks.
Yeah, man. I mean, the best way to disintermediate. I know. I respect and like a good number of lawyers. But let's face it. If you want to disintermediate lawyers, then you have mutually hold harmless. I know, and I'm not a lawyer, like I have no idea, but it seems like that sort of opt out, if you get everybody signing a multi-sig to opt out from holding each other liable. I don't know what the legal structure for that would even be, if it is, or like the absence of one, but it is interesting, man.
Well, I mean, everything that I've talked to every lawyer about is basically a lawyer trying to fit a hexagon into a circle space, right? It's like, well, you have to do this, you got to do that. You know, you have to follow the compliance of what already exists. And lawyers are not ready or understand, like most of the ones that I've talked to, do not understand the technical capabilities. They think of it in forms of corporations. Like if I'm throwing an NFT
Sure.
project or I'm a founder, then yeah, okay, I'm starting a business and this is how I would approach a business. Oh, you have to shield yourself, right? And the anon thing has been discussed to death. Like, okay, how do you deal with an anon? And a lawyer would say, don't deal with an anon. You know, well, what if this guy moves to Venezuela? What if this guy moves to Russia, moves to Cuba, and all of a sudden I can no longer do business with him? It's like, it's not my fault this guy moved. You know, it's not my fault he's contributing to this website. So that's been done to that too. But it's like, there's so many things for lawyers and accountants to figure out. Like I've been like for a hackathon right now, I'm working on flash swaps, right? So with all these like flash loans and swapping, it's like I can literally borrow $2 million from Aave protocol, right? I can borrow that money without any collateral. So now I have $2 million in my wallet, and then I swap it for ETH because I'm doing an arbitrage, right? And so now I've swapped $2 million for ETH, and then I swap it back to something else because I sign an arbitrage agreement. I make $10 or something. But now it shows on chain that I've swapped USDC for $2 million of ETH, and then I swapped it back for like USDT, and then I swapped it back for USDC, made like $10, and now I return the money all in a single transaction. Now, do I get taxed on $2 million because I swapped something to another item and then put it back, or do I get charged on the $10? And no accountant can tell me yay or nay.
Yeah, right.
It's a lot of gray area. No lawyer is going to tell me, well, theoretically, it's like, just give me the straight. I'm a black and white person. I'm a programmer. It's like either it works or it doesn't. And lawyers like to argue a lot of different positions, but it's like no one can give me a straight answer. Not even the SEC can give me a straight answer on that. It's like what I'm doing is totally legitimate. I made $10 profit. I'm more than happy to pay, the profit on the IRS is kind of like that one friend that like wants to pitch in, like when you're ordering pizza and he doesn't pitch in and say, hey, give me some hot wings. I was like, okay, fam, and then all of a sudden, you get the pizza and he's like, all right, I got to go. But then when you're down, he's like, oh man, that sucks, man. I'm out. You can't claim those losses. Yeah. So it's like, like, hey, cover me. So when you're up, the IRS is like, hell yeah, we won. And then when you lose, like, oh man, you lost. Good luck to you, man. But you can only claim $3,000 in losses per year.
Too rate limited.
So it's such a fucked up system of like, well, now that I'm developing all these programs and things, like, well, how liable am I? If I create this cool, like arbitrage system that I just deploy for myself, it's out in the open. People can use it. And then, let's say I wrote some bad code, like I just fucked up somewhere, and all of a sudden somebody gets rugged for $1 million. Like, who wrote this code? Came down to me. I was like, well, I didn't write it for you. I wrote it for me, but it's public. So like, where's the liability? Do I have to have an LLC for that? It's no one can give me a straight answer. Oh, well, the lawyers say, of course, you should protect yourself at all times, but that wasn't my intentions. I just deployed it so I can use it, but it doesn't stop other people from making a website and them using it. I mean, Uniswap has been forked like 1 billion times. If there was a bug on the original code, like Olympus DAO, and then all these other DAOs got all fucked, like, where does the liability go? Does it go back to Olympus DAO? Does it go to the forker? Like, where does that blame game stop? And nobody knows. And that's the problem. We don't have a solution to that or an answer. And that's why I say, like, lawyers are trying to fit a hexagon into a circle because they don't understand what is being built or the concept. Like, they understand business, they understand Ethereum, I guess, but they're trying to conform the space into what already exists, and that's just impossible. They're like, we're not trying to conform, we're trying to like change the game. And that's the difference. I'm like, I haven't found a lawyer that's going to help me change the rules. They just want me to conform, and that's kind of like what I'm not here for. And that's why I kind of respect the anon, because they have the freedom to do whatever they want. If I deploy something under my name, well, now it comes back to me. So I'd rather be an anon and just deploy, things, whatever I want. And like, if it's not, I'm just a random Discord name, Booty Clapper 75, that, and that's it. Like, oh, that was my boy.
My boy. Yeah, dude.
Yeah, it's
go
ahead.
I think it's interesting, and I know you've been even closer to the metal, talking to a lot of these, these legal folks, and I think that, it's not their job to like try to innovate. Like I do find, I mean, I coach debated for years. So like, I do find some of like the perspective sharing and like different ways that you can argue and litigate a case, you know, like the rubber hits the road and what you might be able to field as far as argumentation that would be acceptable, like in court. I don't claim any expertise, but I do like find it intellectually like interesting. But at the same time, you know, there's certain, like you're saying, there's certain lack of fundamental familiarity with, or like value placed on principles of decentralization. It's just like not a, because the paradigm through which every lawyer is trained is like literally a centralized code of law that is itself like debatable, but not like within a certain bandwidth. And decentralization, the principles like ethos of the space, they lie outside of that. Like there's not any structural elements they are a legacy, like analogous things, but the idea, like you're saying, it's not even just crypto. It's like the internet and internet communities. Like it's just, in some sense, DAOs are just an internet community that's enabled by this new technology, but because it's native, like you're dealing with things that extend beyond crypto, like social and economic like flows of value that are both on and off chain. And like, yeah, it's this very interesting space, I guess. And you know, I mean, Gabriel Shapiro and some of these other folks, like I guess I enjoy following on Twitter, but I don't really know like who is a leading voice per se. Sometimes like I get confused. Like I don't really know on the legal front, right? Is there anybody that you can direct this to, Billy, that you think is like a good person to follow?
Trust nobody. You know, everybody has an opinion. That's the problem. Everybody has an opinion, and no one makes a decision. SEC won't make a decision because as soon as they make a decision, then you can start developing things to pivot off that idea. Oh, this is a security. Okay, like what makes this security? Okay, we won't do that, and then we'll swap it to something else, and they lose control. They play this game as like, well, okay, it's not this. We might sue you, but if we don't like what you're doing, then we're going to come after you. But they never tell you the exact guidelines, and it's always this game of like you know, what can I or what can't I do? And literally, like BlockFi paid like $50 million in fees for offering more than 1% to regular people that are not accredited. That's literally their crime. Offering higher than that, that's not accredited to people that don't have $1 million in their bank account. And where they got that $50 million from, I have no idea. And they paid $50 million and they still don't have an answer of what is good and what's not good. You know, so that's the shitty part. You know, and there's so many questions. Like, if I want to be malicious, like if I know T Wells' address, what's to stop me from like, you know, creating my own Billy coin, you know, pairing it with ETH, making it worth $1 million right before tax time, airdropping it to your wallet, and then dumping it. You got airdropped, you know, this $1 million token, and you didn't cash it out, but I just drugged it, and it was worth $1 million when you got it, but I rugged it, and so now I can do that to my worst enemies, and now they're going to get taxed on $1 million because it was airdropped to your wallet. So what is going to say, oh, I didn't know that was airdropped to me, or it wasn't intentionally done to me. So now is the rule like only when you claim or only when you swap? Like, you know, we need those exact details. And the moment they do is then you can start making things like yield aggregators. Okay, they auto compound for you. So like, are you claiming those funds or does it get taxed when you claim it from the auto compounder? Like, how do those rewards work? So like, there's so many dynamics for this that it's so confusing that, well, I have a new dog, by the way, in case you heard. But you know, there's so many things that lawyers and accountants can never grasp the idea, because all they know is I bought an NFT, or I did a swap on Uniswap, or I bought this and I, you know, staked it on Coinbase. But when you start getting into the world of like the real deep, you know, interface of like what people are building and what the alpha is, you know, it's just like mind-boggling. Like, I have trouble wrapping my hand around it. Imagine somebody's grandma that I had to tape all the other numbers up other than channel up and channel down in volume to then give me the law of how to handle a flash swap, you know? So like, it's like they got to get aged out. Like, how do we vote these people out?
In some ways, it like almost doubles back to the UST story we were talking about earlier, right? I mean, it's going to take, well, it's going to take, you know, probably court precedent. I mean, they're going to have to go after people in court, and then, you know, whatever the precedents are that are set there are obviously going to shape in part the regulatory environment. I mean, essentially, it's just been Congress and the White House kicking the can back and forth, right? So like, I don't personally, again, I'm obviously not a lawyer. I do also follow some folks from Coin Center. I get the sense that like Gensler does not have free reign to do whatever the fuck he wants, right? Like, so we'll see. The biggest, most high-profile SEC case has been what, like XRP, So like, what's the next one? Is it gonna be Luna? Is that gonna be the next one? Like, I feel like each of these cases is just gonna like yield precedent that will like move us towards some of these answers, but it's gonna be a long time till we get them all right. People are gonna have to get like, basically, people are gonna have to get wrecked by the IRS and sue, and then, basically assert their rights successfully. It's gonna take activism. I mean, like, we're thinking out like 3-5 years. People are gonna actually have to like, I think, mobilize online, if not other, because once the regulators start coming down, people are gonna have to take a position, right?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, actually, XRP was kicking their ass for a while, and then that kind of died down. And actually, Do Kwon from Terra actually counters to them because they served him at I think Consensus or something when he was about to go on stage. So they served him papers because he was actually in the country because he's based in South Korea. So they served him when he was there. Then he went home and he countersued them. I don't know what's going on with that, but hopefully he has the funds to pay his lawyers now. I don't know.
I'm gonna tell you.
Yeah.
I wonder if South Korea's got an extradition treaty. I bet they do.
Yeah,
they need U.S. missiles and military personnel too much to not have an extradition treaty. So Do Kwon, like, we'll see. I'm just being honest. Like, I have I do not, I don't take any, happiness in saying it, but yeah, the long arm of the law. Some people, I think, and there will be a reckoning, for better or worse. Like, yeah, if the U.S. federal government wants to get you, you're not gonna. There's no way you're gonna go. Nowhere you're gonna go. Like,
yeah, no doubt. I mean, shit, T-Wells. I pay my taxes. I report all my shit the best of my ability because I don't want the IRS smoke or the SEC smoke at all. But I mean, you look at city people and you think, oh, these guys are dumb. Like the IRS has the grunts, those are, but they got some smart motherfuckers in there. Okay, like we're talking CIA, FBI. Like I believe as a theory that Tornado Cash could be run by the CIA. It's not like they got dumb people working. So they're just watching all the transactions, collecting wallet addresses, tying liquidity to certain locations. Tornado SWAT like only has like maybe $30 million in liquidity. So anybody trying to move anything more is going to see that kind of volume and they can trace you down through OPSEC. So it's not like people are outsmarting the government. They're just keeping tabs on certain things. And I believe that they will have a smart enough team. They can't catch everybody, obviously, and they're only going to catch who they think they can catch. But, you got to play it smart. You got to play safe. And, one thing I do agree with the lawyers is you should always protect yourself. But no one gives me a clear answer as to what. So in always, you should just have an LLC in your place. I have my own business. So I have those protections in place. But it's like, do I need one for like my Discord account? It's like, that's a question I don't know. Like, do I need one for Billyjitsu, that LLC, limited liability? Do I have to like trademark all my shit on Twitter? I
that was
don't
my
know.
question, man. We talked about this the other day. It's like, if the question is straight up that there are no written contractual agreements for the issuance of a governance token, what does that liability landscape look like? Or what is that attack surface? Because like, I don't know the answer to that. But playing it safe is number one. I think everybody should have their own LLC, straight up, man. Particularly if you're an operator, like, you need to have a legal wrapper, and there are different ways to do that. I've had the DAO legal framework for the state of Wyoming up on screen for like the last 15 minutes. It's definitely worth checking out if you got some nerd time this weekend or something.
Yeah,
go to Opolis.
Yeah, it just comes out. I've actually been watching like one DAO to watch is definitely the Lex DAO, the DAO of engineering lawyers in a sense. They're a good follow to see what they're doing. Again, they're lawyers from all over the world, and it's hard to come to consensus of what is cool and what's not cool and different districts. They are working on contracts. They actually do have an escrow contract that's pretty cool. They have an NFT contract that kind of complies to the legal laws of proof of transfership because you actually have to have a signature on it, not just a digital signature, but it's built into the NFT itself. So they are coming in with a lot of cool stuff. But again, no direct answers as to what is happening. But definitely follow XDAO if you're into the law stuff. It's definitely going to come down. But again, like if you're trying to buy, some NFT pictures online and these guys have doxed themselves, you're not fine. You're not going to get any luck. Okay, no one's going to protect you from that shit. No one's going to protect you from anything that you're not going to sue fucking ass clapper 75 on because he rugged you. they're not going to get you. You got screwed. There's nothing you can do to protect yourself on that. So, good luck to you on that one. But definitely, if you're trying to comply, either you become really excellent in an on, like the agave team is like I don't know who they are, I just know their voice. Who knows how well their opsic is, or you play by the rules until you figure out what the rules are. And that's the game I have to play. I don't want that smoke. It's not worth it for me. That's why I really don't touch DeFi that much, because of all the repercussions that come in. All the people in the States have moved out that touch DeFi, or they talk through proxy, and so now it never goes back to them. It's kind of like you have to work like the mafia. I'm gonna T Wells, tell him I said this, so it falls on you. Like it becomes this whole mafia style game of like, I don't know, something I don't want to play. So I keep it to fun contracts. I keep it to NFT things that don't really become a large scope. But I like the space. I like to contribute to the space. I believe that we still have a chance to change the game a little bit. VC shows that they can bully us around, but there's still a small group that is still fighting for this. So on that ending note, it's like keep fighting the good fight. Yeah.
Amen, brother. That's a good place to leave it for sure. I think, bullish on people that are still here, building, showing up, doing good stuff. And there's a lot of opportunity, I think, in an environment like this. So look into the future, my man.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I think we could still go lower, way lower. No question, just in case for people looking for support. Yeah, look, Dogecoin is still top 10. Okay, so that's already an indicator for me. I got people singing on Twitter Spaces. Okay, that's another top indicator for me. Shiba is like a top 15. NFTs are still like being sold over a few ETH. So I mean, we've so like as shitty as this sound, but my indicator of like where things go is literally when they put on the cryptocurrency Reddit, when they like do the pin for the suicide hotline. That's when I know things are getting shaky. That's my indicator. As shitty as that sounds, that's like, okay, people are losing some serious money that they're like, people are like, oh man, I don't know. That's kind of my indicator. Like, all right, now we're getting into a zone where it's getting pretty dangerous. And that's kind of my indicator.
It's harsh, but I imagine it's true, man. People, yeah, stay away from that leverage. Financial advice. That's my financial advice. Yeah, hey, look at this top 10 here, right? I mean, it is number 10, about to fall out, but it's only because Terra's right there at 11. And it's been bouncing around, actually, even since we have been on here. It's been down beneath 80 again. So we'll see. On life support, I guess.
I mean, honestly, if it ever comes back to peg, would you put your money in it? Is kind of the question. Like, it's kind of lost faith. It's kind of like a crackhead you let to your house. You're giving him a chance, and he stole your money to buy some crack. Like, do you let him back in your house again or not?
It's Tyro.
You don't know. It's like, I don't know who's gonna stay. If you are, you're a madman. I salute you because you're fighting the good fight for decentralized money, but it ain't gonna be me. I'll tell you that right now.
It ain't no decentralized money. High school is the best. It's saying it's like the 10x as bad as the Fed. It's like one dude. Well, I think it is in moments like this where it's like, man, however bad the U.S. dollar might be, like the firepower is fucking undeniable. Like you're gonna have real trouble keeping the peg, but the peg of all pegs has stayed pegged and is actually rallying. I mean, if you look at the USD chart, it's interesting. I encourage people to look at that despite all of the rest of the narrative strengthening. So we'll see. The barometers are spinning in opposite directions, Billy.
Yeah, I know. Even the stock market's fucking me up too. Like shit. I bought into Coinbase and that shit. They need to fucking come up with some new coin or something. That Coinbase NFT marketplace has done like $1 million in transactions. Like, step it up, guys. Okay, bring up my stock.
Like I said, I saw that headline: "Crypto's dead." I need to see more of those, and then we'll also keep an ear on, as you said, friends and family. Although, yeah, man, I keep it real though. I keep it real with everybody. I'm not gonna lie. I talk to a lot of people about crypto, but they say, I don't like, man. Whether it's friends or others, right? I don't give financial advice. I'm never gonna tell anybody to buy this, that, and the other thing. I'll talk about anything you want about crypto, but I don't give any advice on coins.
Yeah, I mean, I do what I do. You do you. Okay.
That's right, man.
I do tell people, buy some Bitcoin, buy some ETH. It's always good to have that in your wallet. I do say that, but I don't say what price. I dollar cost average, man.
Yeah,
That's just been
yeah.
my strategy forever.
Yeah.
I buy on the way down, I sell on the way up, a little bit here. That way, I made a little bit of profit. The tax man, me and the IRS both make profit, so it's all good.
Yeah, that's right, man. We got Ricochet coming on next Monday, by the way. Speaking of DCAing, so it's probably good timing.
Yeah, no kidding. Yeah, for sure. So I look forward to that, and definitely want to pipe in there because I'm a little short on some funds on one of those. So I'm gonna say, hey, they've been taking care of me though. But one thing did pop off a little bit that was funky on Polygon because of the whole crash.
Oh,
So I was like,
word.
wait a minute, I should have one more token.
Next Monday,
But all
sir.
good,
Please
all
come.
good. I'm gonna roast everybody. I keep it honest. If they don't pay me back, I'll be on that show too, T Wells. Okay, I'll be talking about stuff too.
Right up, Billy.
Where's my money?
You raise your hand and come on stage, sir.
Anyways, that is the news for the 2 weeks. Yeah, that's the news for the 2 weeks. There's my little rant. Who knows what's going to happen in the next 2 weeks? I think the next 3 to 6 months is really going to see who's here to stay and who's not. Who was the quick flipper, who was the Twitter Space promoter, and as it starts getting nasty, and I'm feeling it is, we're going to see who's going to be here. We're going to have like 2 listeners next 2 weeks.
Hey, we're gonna do the Twitter Space thing right on, and hey, man, just gotta get some good promos and incentives. Anybody here? Liu, it's Jimmy, Mert, good to see all y'all, and anybody on YouTube, if you have ideas, things you think we can do to pimp our shows, definitely let us know. I was thinking next time, Billy, people gotta maybe come with some stories they want you to hear. Just throw out some questions or stories they want to hear your take on, and we can spin the name wheel and give away some honey.
Okay, yeah. I mean, shoot, yeah. If somebody out of the blue is crazy enough to sponsor us too, we'll see what's going on. Otherwise, if you can hear my nightmare stories, and then shoot, once I go on a story roll, then then I go off. But right now, because like the whole market is like under panic, like that's been my focus of like, all right, what's happening? What are we gonna do? So that's kind of been my focus. But once I start getting into like my own personal stories, then hold on.
Right, I'm in. Well, GM and GM, everybody else, for joining, and we will see you all soon. Don't forget to subscribe on YouTube. We'll be sharing the highlights there as well. Post them up ASAP, Billy. No more delays.
Cool, guys. Hopefully you guys learned a little something. If not, try everything. You might get paid. Out.
Peace, y'all. GM, everybody.